Hey Tiger fans, Mark Fitzpatrick from Tiger Club of Kansas City. It is Tuesday, October 4th. A very special guest we had on today at the Westport Flea Market. Former Northwestern and Colorado coach Gary Barnett, a Mizzou grad and college football analyst. Gary, very interesting program today. We usually talk a lot on the field. Today was like a graduate school class in business with NIL. You brought up some great information. The world's changed.
Well, you know, it's what's driving college football right now. It's the news in college football, and it's news that we don't like. I mean, really, it's almost distasteful. But we've got to learn about it, and we got to understand it, and we're going to have to be a part of it in some way. And so it's intriguing for sure.
You talked to a lot of coaches, obviously. You were in the business for a long, long time. Do you ever think, man, I couldn't do this today? Or what do the coaches say how crazy it is?
Well, they just describe it as the Wild West. And I think from my perspective, if I were to have to go back into it now, it would seem like it was overwhelming. But if I were in it day by day and saw it coming, knew that I'd have to prepare, get an answer for it, etc., then you'd find a way to get it done. You'd find a way to solve your problem. But from the outside, from 15 years out, it looks like it'd be really hard.
Let's talk a little bit on the field. We talked about the Mizzou Tigers. 2 tough losses, but a really strong effort against Georgia, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It could be something to get their season turned around.
It sure could. If you can play defense, you're going to have a chance. You always have a chance because you can keep the score down and stay within striking range, especially if you're not that good on offense. But they can be a good offensive team. I was impressed with their performances in the last 2 weeks, especially coming off the Kansas State debacle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was just the numbers weren't all that bad, but the score was bad. But they've been impressive in the 2 losses, and it's hard sometimes to say they were impressive in those 2 losses, but they were. And what I think this does, I think they got a really big week this week. Everybody knows that. They can play the kind of defense they played the last 2 weeks. They have a real chance to go into Florida and win that game, I think.
And in the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of head coaches losing jobs. Happened to Colorado on Sunday. It seems like coaches are getting fired earlier and earlier now, but there's a reason for that, and you talked about that today.
There is, and there's 2 reasons. One is everybody has more money coming in from TV than they ever had before, so they have a pool of money to be able to allocate to that sort of thing, and it doesn't become a financial, liability. But the big reason is because they moved the signing date up to December the 15th. Right. You have to have all your recruiting done, most of your recruiting done by then. If you wait till the 1st of December at the end of the year to fire your coach and then go find another one, you better already have one lined up, and then he's only going to have a week. He's only going to have a week to recruit. So they're doing it early so that coaches, they can get somebody in place earlier and they can salvage recruiting is basically what they're doing.
Last thing I want to ask you, look at the top 5 in the nation this week. Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Clemson, Ohio State. Not in that order. It seems like the same group. Is college football too top heavy, and do you see the playing field getting a little leveling out?
I don't see it leveling out. I think it's too top heavy. No, let me put it this way. I think it's top heavy. I don't want to put a value on that because, you know what, it's always been top heavy. I mean, you look back at the top 25 over the last 25 years, they're the same team.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody scoots in there or out, and there's some changes, but not very many. There are inherent advantages in some programs, and you can't level that out.
Not even with the NIL.
NIL's going to try, but in the end, those schools at the top, they got NIL too.
Yeah. So, Coach, thanks for coming out. You make the long trip from Colorado every year, and we would appreciate it. Hey, next week we will have Dave Matter from St. Louis Post-Dispatch, who's covered the Tigers for many years. Always a great guest. For more information on membership and events, please go to kctigerclub.com.